Hello everybody, I'd like to welcome you back to part 3 of the 100-year-old desk resurrection, where we're going to hopefully put the final touches on the patching and the strengthening of the leg desk. Let me take you in and get this thing started. Okay, we've taken the clamps off, and here's the patch. So somebody asked me a question about what was I talking about with these marks. I used a marker on the other side to show where I was thick as I was bringing it in. So I used a red marker. And I'd do the side of it here full. I would put marker on the side so I knew what I was sanding. And if I got black here, I was a little bit heavy. Here I need to go a little bit deeper. Anyways, that's just my own personal marks on how I do it. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take a planer. We're going to get this down, sand it, and then see just exactly how much fill we have to do and reveal just how good of a job we did with that Dutchman. So we had this plane down and we hit it with a little bit of sandpaper. So that's pretty even. In fact, that's quite even. A little bit of work that we'll do on some hand stuff after we do it. But let's take a look at our patch. Let's see how our Dutchman turned out. Here, a little bit off in this area. You'll see this is the patch that I put in because my math was wrong. I tried to match this line as much as I could. But anyways, that's what that looks like from an earlier mistake of my math. And a little bit here, but all in all, pretty tight fit right in there, huh? Looks pretty good. Nice tight fit there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit this with a little bit of wood filler. Let that dry. Hit that with some sandpaper. I gotta clean this off a little bit and I'll drop some filler in there. But for all in all, that's gonna put an end to that for a little bit and we'll move on to something new. Get the wood filler on and I'll bring you back when we're ready to go to level 2. Okay, we hit that with a little bit of fill, not too much. That'll sand off nicely. In this case, I used a polyurethane kind of poly fill. I like it. Dries fast, it dries really hard. And it's dark enough that it'll help me when we do a little bit of the aging. Anyways, let's set this to the side and move on to the next step. Okay, now that we've completed the Dutchman patch that we put on the leg, letting the putty dry up. Now we're going to move our attention over to replacing our old seat and our legs. And how we're going to do that is by using reclaimed 2x4s for some strength and some thickness. Let me tell you how we're going to go ahead and do that. All right, this is the old seat. And you can see it has, they went with the mortise and tenon kind of setup here. And this thing is so rotted, it's absolutely not able to be salvaged. I might use it for something other, maybe firewood or something, but it's in bad shape. And it's not a normal thickness. When I went to the lumber store, I asked them for this size. They said, well, we don't make that thickness anymore. And I bought that piece of pine and it was a problem. So here's how we're going to do this. I've taken the thickness, which is the same. These are the two same thicknesses of board. And I've measured how thick it is by putting it into my table saw. That's how thick it is. And what I've done now is I've taken some 2x4s while you guys were away, and I've already trimmed off one edge, so that edge is flat. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the 2x4s down through my table saw, and I will cut them that thickness. And when I take the pieces, and we come in and I lay them to the side and glue them together, they'll be the same thickness as that board. Now you might wonder, what exactly is this? This is pretty unconventional, yes. I bought this table saw at Aldi, if you can believe it or not. And since I had to replace all of my tools, this is not the greatest table saw in the world, and this fence is absolute garbage. But what I do is I'll measure my thickness, and I'll put that board there so this doesn't bend, and it allows me to put pressure on it and push while I'm doing it. All right, let me cut this, and I'll bring you guys back. Okay, let me kind of tell you exactly what I'm talking about here. This is my 2x4 that I've cut down. Little scrap piece on the end, I've taken that off. So these are the two. And you'll notice when I'm talking about the size, the thickness is this, right? It's different. However, when you take those babies and lay those end to end, you will notice that we are dead on solid. Same exact thickness. So that's what I was talking about. And that's how I get this thickness, which is a board that you can't buy in a conventional size. And that makes the grain patterns look pretty nice as well. All right, let me finish cutting all of these up, and I'll get back to you and bring you in when we're all ready to go. Okay, so we have cut. It took two, I'm going to speak in feet, 8-foot 2x4s, cut down to size. And this is what we're going to use. One of the reasons why I like to do things this way is for the glue up. You'll see this side isn't the smoothest, and you can glue that up, but what's nice about it is this is factory milled, and that'll glue up quite nicely. So what I'm going to do now is I'll get this ready. I'll get this into some glue clamps, put some cawls on there, and yeah, get started. Let me bring you back in. Here is the glue up. Of course, clamps. Gotta have those clamps. It's invasive, and I still have a few more remaining in the corner over here. Just to share with you something about something I bought these clamps here. These are some value clamps. I bought these in Japan, and in the future, if you're going to do this, I'm using the wrong kinds of clamps. I'm using the kind of clamps you should be using bar clamps or pipe clamps. That big round bar through the center, much better, because when you tighten this style of clamp, notice you get the bow in these, and the glue up isn't great, but it's going to do what I need for it to do. These here are pieces of tape. There's tape put on top of some plywood, and I have 4 of those, 2 on the end and 1 in the middle. That keeps the boards from the inside from sliding out and keeping them as straight as possible. Those are called cawls. All right, so that's it for 24 hours. This could be a short one. We're going to end part 3 right now. Get back to you. See you later.